Hello and welcome to another week and another episode with me, Marilyn. And this week I thought we'd touch base and talk a little bit about how to run the week and not allow or let the week run me. And you're probably thinking, what do you mean? Well, you know those weeks where you feel like you're like, oh my God, I've just had a shit week. I don't know. I didn't accomplish anything. I just feel like really inundated. I feel like I have so much to do, and now it's just piled up for the following week, and you're just so overwhelmed and flustered that you do not even know where to start. So, hopefully, there's a few little gems here and there for you, things that I do. And again, like these are just things that I do, and you don't have to do them exactly the same way. However, sometimes you might be able to take a little bit of an insight from what some other people may do. Hopefully that's me, whether it's someone else, that's totally cool and up to you. But hopefully you can grab some little gems here and there and maybe implement them into your own weeks, days, lives, whatever it may be, and get some changes, get some wins for yourself. So I definitely think, there's a few things that I do. Obviously, you guys know I meal plan. I'll get into that a little bit after because I feel like what I do first definitely helps when I meal plan. And I am a little bit of a creature of habit and I love routine, but then also we have kids. Like sometimes things change, sometimes routine changes. I have a husband who works for himself, so sometimes I can't depend on him or make things concrete, which I know might seem very bizarre for some people, but when you work for yourself, especially, if you're a tradie or whatever and you're stuck on a job, like what are you going to do? Things have to happen and we got to kind of work with it. So first thing that I do is I kind of sit down on a Sunday, and again, I do it on a Sunday because that's just, the day before my work week, essentially. If you're a shift worker, you could definitely do this on your Sunday, which may be a Tuesday. So whatever it may be. And for me, I do have obviously I have a diary. We all have a freaking diary. We have a notepad, we have a to-do list, we have a whiteboard. We all have the things, let's be honest. But the things that I use particularly is this weekly planner. I bought it just from Kmart. I mean, you can get it from anywhere. So it's by week, right? And it's got each day of the week on this one big like A3 sheet, okay? And I know the days, like for example, obviously school days or daycare days. I know my longer days, I know my shorter days, what days that I heavily work on, what days there are more extracurricular activities, for example, swimming lessons or whatever it may be. And obviously I write that out. And so I know the days that need to be more heavily work focused and the other days that are like, okay, I'm on the go. So they're the days that are just like, what can I do in advance, especially around meal planning, to make that day even more easier? So I kind of map that out. So I have an understanding of the days and it gives me clarity and a little bit more focus on what I need to focus on for those particular days. I also know for me, this is just a little bit business minded. It can be applicable to people that don't have their own business. It could be also work. Like for example, if you have to do a report or you have meetings or if you're studying and you have assignments. However, in terms of business, for me, I have now broken down tasks. I know what I focus on per week and I don't overwhelm myself. That's the other thing. I have a general to-do or a goals list for the week and it's not 20 dot points long like it used to be. I'm not going to sit there and achieve, 5 email copies, all my posting strategy, all my podcasts, or who can? And the minute that you start to sit down and kind of map it out, and I'm not saying freaking, to the T, like wake up, have coffee. No, but just map things out, what you do and your tasks for the week. You really can, I can guarantee when you sit and do this, you'll be like, wow, I'm doing a lot. And then you find that if something does go wrong, and when I say wrong, perhaps it could be a sick kid. These things happen. And then you start to wonder, you're like, oh my goodness, I'm not even getting anything done. Like now that 2020 to-do list 20-point to-do list, I can't even talk anymore, is now 40, because each week you need to do 20 things. And then one bad week, whatever it may be, rolls over into another bad week, and you just can't get off the bandwagon and the hamster wheel. So once you write it down, you have like very clear goals for the week, and keep them easy and achievable as well, especially depending on the time of your life, like if you have little dependents or whatnot. And then you can now sort of have a look at your meals. And I know you guys are going to get sick of me talking about meal planning, but I really just want to emphasize on the ease of it. I'm even sick of using the word meal plan, but essentially it is, because the way that I look at it is, okay, Mondays, they're my short days. They're the days that, like kids don't go to after school care, or I'm just working with school hours. Okay. So what can I do? Perhaps a dish that can be maybe prepared and popped into the fridge the night before. So all I have to do is pop it into the oven. Okay. They're those kind of dishes that I kind of cook on a Monday. Tuesday, okay, it's a longer day, but it's also my work heavy day. So whilst I can have a little bit more time making a dish and maybe marinating or whatnot, I also don't want to be making a risotto and stirring it at the stovetop for an hour, because as you all know, when we're in work mode and we're in that flow and we want, when the words are flowing or, whatever it may be, we don't want to just be like, cut that short to either A, go cook risotto at the stovetop, or B, have to go to Woolworths, buy something, think of something, come home, do it, because then that's actually worse than standing at the stovetop and stirring risotto. So that's another thing. You start to have an understanding of where you're kind of putting a lot of pressure on yourself for the week when you sit down and write it out. And it could be stupid tasks. And sometimes I do this as well. I mean, I write down, I feel like, oh my gosh, everything, like the house needs to be cleaned. And it's like, oh my gosh, and the washing, this is this. The minute that I like write what is going on in my mind, all those busy thoughts, sometimes it's not that bad. I'm like, that's all right. Like, big deal. I'll just do it on that day. I'll do it the night before. You can just plan a little bit ahead of time. It's a little bit of forward thinking. And so if we're going to talk business now, right? I think what used to happen with me was I used to be very overwhelmed. And the reason why I got overwhelmed, because I didn't have clarity. I didn't have clarity on, what I was doing that week. I knew I wanted this and I wanted to do that, but there was no actionable steps. There was no intentional steps. And so I felt like I had to do all the things. And when I was nailing maybe something behind the scenes, whether it's like a newsletter or whatnot, I wasn't showing up on my socials. And so then I would feel like, oh my goodness, I have to like find something and post, otherwise algorithms and blah, 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 blah. But it's like, hang on, what are things that I can do per week, batch for the month ahead? And that's what I do. I batch things, and that's come with a lot of time, trial and error. But also it's okay not to do everything at the same time. Focus on where you're at and what stage you're at now, whether that's in your business, whether that's in your personal life, whether that's in your home life. Focus on that. See what's happening. See where you're feeling. You will know. You will ask yourself, you're like, okay, this is irritating me. If it's getting meals on the table and you feel like it's irritating you because it's taking up a lot of your time in the day, cool. Let's focus on that for now. Let's try and get a little bit of a new habit, and let's fix this problem, quote unquote problem. Let's just get the ball, like, let's make a change. First thing is acknowledgement, realizing that, okay, like I'm not nailing this. And that's the other thing. I really want to talk on this podcast about it. And it's like, it's normal. It's okay to feel like we're not nailing everything. It's okay. And, if you don't feel like you want to go around telling people that, that's cool. You can find someone, or you can just self-reflect and be like, okay, I'm not nailing the dinner thing. I feel like some weeks I'm really good at it and other weeks that I'm not. Okay, what are we doing on those good weeks? What can I do ahead? And it's forward thinking a little bit. And sometimes we don't naturally, like some people just don't naturally forward think, and that's okay. I'm here to just be like, that's what I do. And hopefully next time you make a spaghetti bolognese sauce, you can think of me and think like, oh, hang on. Marilyn said that she kind of double or triple batches her bolognese sauce and cooks obviously it and has that for dinner that night, and then cools the rest down and freezes it into lots. So those days that you are, you know, working heavily in your business, or you are that mum that is being a taxi driver to extracurricular activities, you know that you have something in the freezer ready to go, that all you have to do is defrost. And, you know, if it's a pasta dish, meatballs, whatever it may be, a lasagna, because you've done it ahead of time, it makes your life so much easier. So definitely forward thinking. I think that it's been a game changer, and just not adding too much to my plate, so that, you know what, if the kids do get sick for whatever reason, and I know that week it's just purely focusing on copy and all my email newsletters, that's cool. I just know I'll just, you know, when they're resting or at night, I'll just do 1 copy a day. I'll just do it. I'll do it. And then it doesn't matter if I'm MIA, because my social media is planned out for the following month. Everything's flowing. And that's what I'm talking about. But it's just not thinking too far ahead of time. Just acknowledging where you're at, what your pain points are for now, and just trying to fix it. Find some way to make it easy enough to change and implement new habits, and not get too ahead of yourself as well. Because I do know, I've been there as well, where I'm like, I have to do this and I have to do that, and I should be doing this, and why haven't I launched that, and why haven't I done this? And it's like, it doesn't matter. There's no race. There's no urgency. There is no urgency. It's what we make it. And it's the process as well. Because if you have a passion project that may be your business, for example, you know, you want to enjoy the process, because when you get there, it's like, where's there? How will you know? Will you get there? Because you will 9 times out of 10 burn out if you are trying to juggle all the balls from the beginning. So for me, it was definitely finding that routine at home, mapping my week out roughly. And I'm not saying, I know I always talk about like time blocking as well, but we won't get into that necessarily now. But just knowing, having a rough idea of what your tasks are for the week, what your days are focusing on what, and concentrating on those. And you know what? If you have a bad week, it's okay. We'll just try again. Anyway, thanks for the chat. I know it was a bit long-winded and I probably repeated myself 1,000 billion times, but you know, repetition is king, so they say. And until next episode, take care and ciao.